Hey guys, today I want to talk about like some albums I really like. I have four albums today that I think are really good albums, and I couldn't really recommend them enough. So first we have aphex Twin Selected Ambient Works 85 to 92. I don't think you need to be a fan of electronic music or any type of music to like this album. Honestly, I think this album perfectly articulates like good sounding ambiance. I think that the first track, X-Style, is a good highlight of the beauty of this record, with the pace of the beat and the woman faintly singing in the background. It just creates an insane ambiance for the opening track, and honestly, the tracks continue to create this epic atmosphere which stay consistent through this whole album, which I couldn't get enough of. I could not get enough of this album. I think it's one of my favorite albums, if not one of my favorite albums of all time, right? This album is like the world to me, dude. Again, you don't need to listen to anything to like this. This is just like, it just sounds good. It doesn't have any like message around it that you need to hear. It just fucking sounds good, and it does a really good job of it. It sounds really, really good. And I would recommend it highly to anyone ever. Like, bro, you could be like from a flipping like tribe in like an African country, or you could be like a rich American businessman, and you could both still like this album because you understand that it sounds fucking awesome, you know. But that's my first album. My second album is E by Echo 2K. Now, I really like this album. I really like Echo 2K. I think that Echo 2K has some of the best and most underrated vocals ever. The messages that Echo shows on this album are really touching and heartbreaking, as he touches on his experiences with ketamine. Like basically on all the tracks, basically he's talking about ketamine. But like some stand out to me is like the opening track, AAA Powerline, with the lyrics, "Zip tied up, can't move my arms," and among others which are repeated throughout the whole track even. Um, the lyric "Zip tied up, can't move my arms" shows the effect of ketamine on his body and how he felt taking it. So basically, it's on the label like he couldn't really do shit, and it made him feel like shit, basically. And you know, I think that shows that drugs bad, and we shouldn't take drugs. Echo also touches on like on racism, as he lived in Sweden, where I think he still does. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But on the track Fragile, he says skin tone like Diet Cola, which is probably what he was getting called by people, which led to his body image issues, because Echo 2K has body image issues, and this album he sort of like he idolizes like a better version of himself in a way. He wants to constantly be better and not feel like shit, not take ketamine and not look like how he looks, basically. And you know, I think that's a really, really like kind of sad aspect of the album, but really touching too. I think that this album is very vulnerable, and it has a beautiful production styles which blend with his vocals extremely well. Overall, I love this album. You should listen to this one, guys. I would recommend. The next album that I want to talk about is Stepdream by Quannnic. I listened to this album on the day that it came out, and I loved it so much, dude. I still love it to this day. Quannnic, bro, if you're watching this, bro, please drop a CD for this. I need a Stepdream CD, bro. I love this album. Anyway, Stepdream by Quannnic is honestly an underrated album that I can't really underestimate enough as to how underrated it is. You know, although the lyrics of this album are very vague, the general consensus is that the album is about a girl with an abusive father who was neglected, abused, etc., which eventually led to her burning down the house and ending up like her father. The title of the opening track, Defense, implies that the daughter was only trying to defend herself from the abuse initially, and she didn't want the abuse to continue, essentially, and that she was kind of trapped in a way, and all she could do was try and defend herself. Then later, she burns down the house on the track South, and it talks about like how she was neglected on later tracks like Comatose and among others. But what I noticed was that the album frequently mentions on how she broke mirrors, which could refer to like how she hated herself for burning down the house and snapping, and just how she's kind of amalgamated herself to become like her father when that's probably what she hated the most, which I think is like a really sad message, you know? I think that overall this is a very underrated album. It has a nice story. Not nice story like, oh, Sunshine Story, but it works. I think that the production and vocals are really, really good. Like, bro, I can't reiterate enough on how much you should listen to Quannic's like fucking instrument work, bro. They have like the best instrument work ever, and you should just listen to all of his albums, bro. Listen to Knopsia, listen to the new one. I haven't listened to too much of that yet. I should probably listen to that more. I think it's called Aviator. Yeah, listen to that one. But I would recommend Stepdream and Knopsia first. Those albums are beautiful, and they're in a place in my little heart. That's a heart right there. Alright. And then my final album, it's sort of like, it came out this year. What the Feng by Feng. I like the title of this album, first off. Like, what the Feng? Like, dude, tell me you're not cool about titling your album that. But to be honest, What the Feng should not really be considered a good album by any means. Like, the lyrical wordplay is like subpar. The messages are not all special. They're more ordinary. But I think the Feng does a really good and unique job of making these messages actually come through. Like, he actually develops on these really ordinary messages and actually talks about them instead of being really, really vague and like you have to flipping decipher everything that the artist is saying, you know? And I think that it makes the album a really easy and nice listen. And because Feng is not really like the other underground British rappers, I think that it's really good because he's not really boasting about how many people he's killed or how much drugs he's done, etc. Like, my friend listens to like a lot of UK drill, which I'm not fond of, and it's just like all the lyrics I've heard of is like, oh, he got point to spliff, this, that, and the other, right? And it's just really jarring. But I think Feng presents. He's just a regular teen doing regular things, and I think that he presents these in a very ordinary way, which makes this, which is why I love this album so much, you know, because of his ordinary production, his out of ordinary production, shall I say, in contrast to the lyrics. I think it makes it a really good album because it's something that I can relate to, whilst also sounding really good and really nice. I honestly would recommend this album to ordinary people that like a bit of variety in their sound. Because honestly, dude, I'm addicted to this album right now, bro. Listen to this guy, bro. Even though he's like a bit stupid, um, he on the albums, right? Um, he did like he drew like a graph for it, right? For one of his most popular tracks, XY. Um, and he fucking he he drew the he did this, bro. He drew the X and Y axis on the wrong fucking way, bro. On the track XY. I thought that was really fucking funny. You're my X, I'm your Y, cause we go in separate ways. I don't know. I think it's good, dude. But yeah, listen to all these albums that I've stated, and yeah, thank you. You for watching. Thank you for watching, guys. Like and subscribe.